There we go. Now I see. Can y'all see us now? All right, I'm gonna just give it a second here. Scott's clapping. That's great. Um, Sweet. All right, put it in the chat to make sure you can hear us. Give us a high five, hands up, thumbs up, all the good things. Let's see here. Move this over here so I can see all better. All right, we have some hellos in the chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from. Thank you all for joining us today. We're really excited to be here. This is such a fun film that we got to make together, and we're going to dive deep into the behind the scenes. If you're in the chat, feel free to think of some questions for our lovely cast and crew. We're going to be pulling some audience questions as we go. And yeah, here we go. For those that don't know me, my name is Allison, and I am the founder of Vision Ray, which is a production company that this film is under, executive producer as well. And with us today, we have the director of Idle Hands, Mr. Scott McKinney. We also have the writer of Idle Hands, April Yanko. We have our lovely actors, Anna, Brian, Dorian, and Conrad. Woo! All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. For those that don't know, this film was actually made for a 48-hour film festival. And for those that don't know what that is, basically you have to be a special kind of crazy like we are to make a film in 2 days. And they give you a genre, well, they give you two genres, a line of dialogue that you must include in your film, as well as a prop and a character. And you get to writing and get to filming and get through post-production by 7 p.m. on a Sunday, and that gives you this film, Idle Hands. This one was actually particularly made for the horror comedy 48-hour film festival in LA, which is super fun. And we were lucky enough to win first place for this film. So shout out to the team and our lovely cast and crew. Great job, everybody. We hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did making it. And yeah, I'd like to start asking some questions to our cast and crew. First of all, I don't know if y'all noticed, but there's a boss character that seems a little difficult to work with in this film. And Brian, I know you play the role of the boss. And I know we kind of chatted about this when you came in for the interviews for our BTS stuff, but I'm curious to know if you can relate to the boss character at all.
No, I can't. I really can't. Being the youngest in my family, I had absolutely no say in anything that went on at any point in time.
So what was it like then playing a character where, I mean, I feel like your boss character has a lot more control in those situations?
Yeah, in times like that, I just had to really take from what I knew, and that was that my parents were kind of in charge. So, like, what is a boss then? A really stern babysitter, I guess. So that's what I really tried to take from it.
Nice. I feel like, as we're all filmmakers, of course, but we've all been through different jobs in our lives, and some are better than others. So I'd really like to kind of go down the line here and have everybody answer, what is the worst job you ever had and why? And I think we'll start with our fearless leader over here, Mr. Scott McKinney.
Hello. Thank you for joining us all. I was trying to think of what actually is my worst job. I don't feel like I've had too many terrible jobs. I've had maybe a couple of terrible bosses, but we'll leave them out of this for now, I think, for safety purposes. But the job that I didn't like the most was a part, like a specific task. When I was a teenager, I was a camp counselor during the summertime, and it was like an Old West themed camp, but like the roads were paved. And during like snack time, all the kids would have like soda pops or pop soda. Well, I said both. But most of the time, if they were like really young and they didn't want to finish them, they would pour them out on the concrete before we would notice, and so like the concrete would be stained. And then we were doing a giant like Fourth of July festival one year, or one of the summers I was there, and for whatever reason, the camp director thought it was a good idea for us to literally like scrub all of the roads like with deck brushes. And it took us like 2 days to do that, and it was awful. And I'm like, I think this is only like 5% better, but we put so much work into this. But
Oh my goodness, that does sounds pretty awful. We should have added that to the film. I should have asked you guys these questions before we made the film. Well, I'm sorry to hear that that was a bad experience for you. I hope you've had many good jobs following that one. I'm gonna pop it over to April now, our writer.
Okay, so I guess I've worked in different food service jobs that have been unpleasant. I feel like that's very common for food service workers. Something more specific, I guess, was I had also and I enjoyed the work to an extent. I was like a teacher for children doing like this craft camp thing, and that was like fine, but like I don't know, sometimes like if kids were like kind of violent with each other, it was like I don't know what to do here. I didn't receive any training on this. I mean, if you guys want to like beat each other up, I know it's going to be my fault, but like this shouldn't land on my shoulders to remove you from the situation. So like I don't know. That was sucky, but it was manageable. I
So
could
what
just
I'm
beat him up instead.
so what I'm hearing is you didn't have the proper training for
That
your
is correct.
job. So did that
Yes.
maybe inspire this training video that you wrote for us?
Yeah, there's that deleted scene where Brian punches a baby, but yeah,
Yes.
that's
I'm
for another time to discuss. Yeah.
joking. That's for the sequel. No, I'm just kidding. Um, well, again, hope you've had better jobs since then. Let's go to Anna.
My worst job, I worked at Forever 21 when I first graduated high school, and it was apparently the largest Forever 21 in the country. And also, just like screaming teenagers pretty constantly. And they would always ask me for fashion advice and then give me dirty looks if I ever actually gave them any. Because I don't know what I like. We weren't trained on that. And so being judged by a high schooler when you're no longer in high school is, and you're just out of high school, but they see you as too old, and it's a bad combination of.
Help me, but don't help me.
Yeah.
All right.
It can be humble. It was good. A good
Yes.
experience.
Yes. So fun. All right, Brian.
I think every job I've ever worked was the worst job ever. But specifically, I worked for a soft pretzel company my freshman year of college, my sophomore year of college, and that was just the pits. We did the whole thing by hand ourselves, so that means you got to get in at like 4:45 in the morning. You start getting yelled at by some guy who doesn't run a business very well, and you're covered in chemicals that you got to stick the pretzels in before you bake them. It was just phooey, the whole thing. And customer facing jobs. Boo, just the worst.
So are you saying that if Idle Hands was a customer facing job, you might not be the boss of Idle Hands?
Not, but that's the cool thing about the boss, right? They just sit in an office. They only come out when there's problems or something needs to get solved. Other than that, no customers.
I guess it depends on the kind of boss that you want to be. We'll get to this in a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna pass to Dorian.
Yeah, I think I've enjoyed most of my jobs, for the most part. But I do remember when I was in middle school slash high school, I was one of our church's maintenance guys as a pastor's kid. But also I was allergic to grass, so I was doing, the typical lawn mowing of this rather large lawn. And unfortunately, with my allergies, I would definitely be pretty much sneezing the whole time as well and just getting like grass up my nose. So that was not the most pleasant, especially with that manual lawnmower over a large lawn. It did become a little more pleasant when we got a slightly more motorized lawnmower, not like one you ride on, but like one that has a little bit of a motor to it, which made it a little easier. But yeah, allergies are not always fun on the job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've always wanted to like try riding one of those lawnmowers they look fun to me. So I'm sorry just for that pure reason that you didn't get to ride an actual one, because I think that would have been cool. And yeah, allergies do stink quite a bit. It's really changes how you feel, right? Physically really affects your mood, even when you're working, no matter what it is. So yeah, man, hope maybe there's like a good allergy medicine or something out there. No more cutting lawn for you. um, Only acting, right? That's what we're doing here now. So there you go. All right, Conrad.
Man, I feel like my career has been nothing but a series of unfortunate events for a while. Uh, but I don't know. The highlights were all great jobs, more so than the bad ones. But like, oh man, in college, uh, summer job flipping houses involved climbing through attics, defunct like 60-year-old attics, and removing old insulation and all the dead mice in them, and that was pretty nasty. Also, a lot of big nails sticking out all over the place. So I don't know how many years off the end of my life I lost doing that job, but it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that sounds rough. I hope you at least got paid well for that, because I feel like there has to be, oh no, there has to
No, it
be.
was under the table and terrible. It was, generally speaking, a loser.
Oh, well, see, everyone has to start somewhere, folks. Start with cutting lawns and, getting your hands dirty, and you'll end up on a YouTube channel as an actor. So there you go. Everybody has to serve their time, I think. You actually reminded me, I think I was thinking of something else at first, but I did work on this game show once. And I was a PA, and because it was a game show, there were a lot of different challenges involved in this game show. And one of them, we needed to tie off like 150 balloons with different substances in them. So like some had whipped cream, some had glitter, some had, different things, but we were like hand tying these balloons with our fingers. And I remember my fingers being so raw by the end of like prepping this challenge. Like I was in physical pain from this challenge. And one at a time, other PAs just started to like disappear until I'm pretty sure I was like the only one left, just like trying to finish the task of putting all these balloons together. And it was pretty awful, pretty miserable. And then after that, after they did the challenge, all the goop and goo and slime and everything was all over the stage. And guess who got to clean it? This girl. So that was a lesson to me to not work any more game shows moving forward. I don't know, I guess, or maybe just working with a better team who's willing to pitch in a little bit more than that team was, maybe. But yeah, you just never know. You never know what you're gonna get. That being said, I still loved being a part of TV and film stuff, and it's always fun to get a behind the scenes look at that stuff like we are now. So can't complain too much, but yeah, that was just a memory that you guys kind of jogged in me. And one of the things too that I wanted to talk about is, we talked about kind of like the bad jobs here, and obviously I think the boss character in Idle Hands really kind of creates that atmosphere for you guys as other characters. And so I wanted to just talk about, like, in general, what are some of the qualities in your real lives that you guys look for in a boss like figure? Is there like a certain style of leadership? Do you look for somebody that's really hands-on and likes to be a part of the team, or you like prefer to be left alone to do your own thing? And anyone can answer in any order. If you have an answer, you can just like raise your hand. We don't have to go through everyone, but Conrad is raising his hand. It's funny because he's actually at work right now. Haha, fun fact.
Yeah, I never leave. No, my favorite boss is an absent boss. Enough said.
Okay. So no micromanaging for Conrad. I can relate. I think micromanaging makes the job more stressful for me because I think at a certain point you have to feel trusted, right? You have to feel like you're there to do the job and get it done well. And if someone's looking over your shoulder the whole time, it just makes it that much more difficult. Does anybody else have a thought on what kind of qualities they would look for in a boss? Story?
I think it depends on the type of project or work that we're working on. But I definitely like collaborating and getting to share ideas. And yeah, I'm not sure that our boss and Idle Hands, well, honestly, for my character, I would say I felt like we had a pretty collaborative working relationship. So yeah, I feel like for me, he was a pretty good boss.
And I guess that's a good question for you too, is, like you said, you guys did collaborate quite a bit. Do you feel like that was sort of like pre-planned before you started shooting, or did that like relationship behind the scenes kind of develop as the day went on?
Well, given that it was 48 hours and I met Brian pretty much just as we started shooting, I think it developed as we went along, but it was really cool to find in different scenes, different ways that I think my character got to interact and do his bidding and
And this
maybe
is,
have my own agenda too.
yeah, and this, I think when we talked as well, this was the first time you played a character like that before. And one of the things we talked about is that you actually don't really have lines, right? So what was that like as an actor, just approaching a character like that?
Yeah, I think it allowed me to think a lot more about, how I occupy the space and like what is my body and my face saying. And so I got to really pull from a lot of like animal work. And so one fun fact is actually I represent multiple demons in this as well. And so I pulled in each scene from a different sort of animal and use that to inspire kind of my body movement, the way that I interacted, any noises that I did make, which there's at least a scene or two where you might hear a couple noises. Yeah, but that was really fun to be able to focus on all that since I didn't have to focus on lines.
And was that something that, first of all, it's really cool. I don't even think I knew that. So, hats off to you for coming up with that idea. Is that something that you thought of? Because you got the script probably morning of, I'm guessing. Is that something that you thought of like on the way to set or while you were on set? Or when did you kind of start realizing that you were going to make those decisions as an actor?
Yeah, so I think one of the first scenes we shot was the scene where I'm kind of ambushing Ambrose's character at the pentagram. And so I think Scott was giving me the direction to kind of scurry into frame or scamper and so I thought, oh, that sounds a bit, maybe those words don't sound like it, but it sounded a bit dog-like. And so that was kind of the character I started to dive into for that scene. And then I was like, well, if I'm different demons for these different other scenes, I could bring in other types of animals. So if you remember the scene where Austin's character is getting chastised, I kind of like slither into that. That's more of that snake-like character coming out. So yeah, a lot of those were just kind of found in the scene with what the scene called for.
Nice. And Scott, question for you real quick is, did you have like a really strong vision for any of the characters going into the morning of shooting? I know you have a lot on your plate between putting together a shot list and, obviously a very strong lack of sleep during a 48, but were you able to prep any of those thoughts towards the characters, or do you feel like you could just really rely on the actors? What was your approach to that as a director?
Well, I would like to think that I'm a very collaborative director, so I'm very open to ideas that other people throw at me. And this project specifically was a blessing to have both Anna and Brian, because I've worked with them so many times before this, and so like we already had a shared language. So Anna kind of just bugs me about stuff all the time. So like I'm just like trying to push her in the right direction and funnel her. I'm like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Let's cherry pick that idea. And so like I have like some ideas of like what would work as the characters, but then I'm very open to like whatever the actors are bringing to set the day, especially on 48, where we're all like literally just heard of these characters like 12 hours ago. But I do remember like I don't remember specifically you telling me all of your animal inspirations for every scene, but I think the Ambrose scene was the first scene that we talked about. And I don't know, I feel like I maybe told you like some animal words to get in there and stuff like that. So, but thanks for chasing it, for the other scenes. That was really handy. I think there's little moments like one of my favorite, tiny moments is, when Brian's at the bottom of the stairs and he's like just walking away. Or I guess at the top of that scene, I was just like, I feel like I need you to be doing something instead of just standing here. What if you like drink this and then like have these in your hands maybe? I think maybe actually I only told you to like drink something and then you're like, I got another idea that we can keep going with this. Then you went and got the pretzels and you just eating while she's like going her rant is so good. So yeah, I think hopefully I'm allowing other people to bring stuff to the table too. But
Yeah, one of the things that I really love about this film is that each of our characters feels really strongly developed in who they are, right? You've got Brian's very kind of menacing and then like nonchalant boss character. You've got this creepy demon. You've got this gambler that just is kind of like in his own world and just going about his everyday. And then we have our lovely spokesperson, who's got this very cheery but very creepy vibe. No offense, Anna, but I know, I think that's one of my favorite characters personally as a spokesperson, because you do such a great job of executing the pleasant and the creepy at the same time. And I know you actually had quite a bit of dialogue, in the beginning as well. And so I kind of wanted to hear from you. P.S. Anna is joining us from the East Coast tonight. She's currently on tour. So shout out, congrats to your tour. I wish we could see it on the West Coast, but we'll have to convince them to bring you here, I suppose. Um, yes, thank you for joining us. But yeah, how was that like, getting this giant chunk of dialogue and developing this character as a spokesperson?
I mean, the stakes of the 48-hour film festival feel very high, but in some ways that actually makes them very low because everybody knows that I got the script an hour ago, and so there's very little pressure for me to get it exactly right, which actually makes the memorizing a lot easier because when you're not stressed about it, that's when it comes to you more naturally. So in some ways, yeah, I felt, and it's so well written by April. It's yeah, I couldn't tell you how word perfect I was, so I'm sure I took some liberties that I probably shouldn't have, but the only chunk of dialogue that was the most intimidating was the first scene because it was a one shot, and so we sort of had to nail it, and there was kind of specific choreography and different, like, I think there was maybe 3 places I needed to land. But that kind of set the tone of like a thrilling, terrifying shoot day. So yeah, I don't know. It just also, as an actor, you memorize a lot of scripts, and so you just sort of like strong and wrong it until. And she's just delivering dialogue. Like, I didn't have to do a lot of character work, so I wasn't like. She's like her literal job is to deliver dialogue for this training video, so it didn't feel too. Like I didn't have to get to any sort of deep emotional place in order to deliver those lines, if that makes sense, which was really helpful. Thank you, April.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because of the essence of the 48, you were more free as an actor to like make stronger choices and just kind of like have more fun with it than you would have like, prepping a character, prepping, or would you say the opposite?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the crew has a lot to do with that, and the director, Scott sets a lovely tone, a collaborative tone on set, and so that makes the stakes feel lower and more playful. Um, but yeah, just also the nature of the film festival and the competition of it, like it all feels very like fun and playful and exciting, and everybody there just loves making film, and so it doesn't. Yeah, it's not. I'm not as stressed as maybe I would be otherwise. And again, because there's so much grace in the failure, because everybody understands I got the script an hour ago, that takes any pressure off of like, I've had the script for 3 months and I have a huge monologue coming up and I still forget one of the words and I feel really silly about it. It's like, nobody's expecting me to be perfect. So in some ways that makes it a lot more easy.
Yeah, and I think that's something important to talk about too as an actor is, I feel like people kind of, I won't say take for granted the skill set of an actor, but it's like, sets are busy, they're chaotic. There's people running around in all these directions, especially during a 48. And I think as actors, it's hard sometimes to just focus, right? It's like you can prep as much as you want, but like day of, if like somebody's dropping something over here, or they're like talking about something over there, and you have like a really sad scene or a really like emotional scene, sometimes it can be really hard to focus. And so I just want to shout out to all the actors out there, like keep doing you, because it's not as easy as one might think. And that goes for all jobs on a film set, but I think you guys did an excellent job at really executing everything, despite the chaos of what a 48 might be. And I agree with you that April did a phenomenal job writing this. And I believe she won Best Writing for this, if I remember correctly. Right, April?
Yes, I did. I put it on my wall. It's there.
Woohoo!
I was like, I
Yes.
need something in this hole. Let's put that.
Yes, I also have our other awards behind me here. I don't know how well you can see them. This one, I guess I could pick it up. We have our best of film, and I'm curious because I know there's other. Oh, there's such a reflection. There we go. There's other. I think the awards that they give out are per whatever the city producers give out. So I'd be curious if there's any other 48 teams out there from other states to know like what the awards are like for you guys. But tell us in the chat if you're listening. So April, when you were writing these characters, is that when you were writing, first of all, what was your inspiration for the writing, and second of all, like as far as like the acting and the execution goes, do you feel like we achieved what you had in your brain when you were writing it?
Yeah, I guess my inspiration was I I don't know what I was necessarily thinking about that made me go on to training videos, but I was just thinking about how training videos are always very weird, even if they're very sincere and are intended not to be funny, they always are anyway. Um, and I guess I was just like, oh, how could we make something that's like I think we had pictures of the location ahead of time, and there was a lot of very like old looking sets that I was like, how could we put these together? And I don't know, I a lot of times when I'm doing these with you, Allison, I talk about how I am a sketch writer, and so I think about sketch, and that's how I try to put the script together quickly, which is like, how do we heighten the beats of what this is? How do we show what the game is quickly? And I think that everybody did a very like easy like fit of a job into the characters that they were. And Anna, I have no idea how word perfect you are, but it was perfect to me, so it's cool. Yeah, I like it's like getting the essence of the thing across was the point. And yeah, like I guess I wasn't necessarily writing with like oh, I have these like really deep thoughts about capitalism and what it means to be in a bad work environment. It was just like, this kind of archetype is fun to see somebody who is like being very cheerful when something really like bad is happening behind them. The boss is fun to be very like huh. And he had the line that we had to have into the script, and I always hate the required line because I feel like it always sounds really like wooden to make fit. And so the line was don't make me laugh. And I was like, oh, this is great. I can totally see how this kind of a character would be like, haha, don't make me, like, that sort of performance that he did. It was so, yeah, I guess, does that answer the question? Kind of went all over.
Yeah, no, it does. And I remember when we have a virtual writers room usually during 48, and April is usually like pitching us different ideas. She's like, what about this? We could do this, we could do that. And we have, some of our team putting in the chat some ideas that we listen to. And I remember when you first told us about the idea of a training video, it was kind of like crickets for a second. In the writers room, we were like, what do you mean a training video? Like, can we do a training video? Like, I remember people being like, I'm not sure. And I think we asked if you could like maybe go write out some beats, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how that went.
I guess like what happened was I was like, it doesn't feel like we're getting warm to the training video idea. So the other idea that I had was it was like essentially, so the genre that we were going in the direction of, we had high comedy, which I was like, I just don't feel like doing that. But we also had possession, because horror and comedy, that are the subgenres. That's why they're like not your traditional genres. But the other idea that I had was a mockumentary that's essentially The Office, except Michael Scott is a demon who is like similar character ways of, like, I think we could have had a lot of the same actors do a really nice job in that idea too. But one of the producers, Greg, I think, was the one that was like, can you like write out some like a piece? I don't know if it was characterized as an outline, but I was like, I'll just make an outline. And I went away for like 45 minutes, and my boyfriend Justin was like, you should also do the training video one, because I wasn't gonna beat that one out. And I listened to him, and I did, and then I showed you guys both, and then you guys were like, oh, we like this one instead. So yeah, I guess in a way, like, almost wasn't that it was gonna be the other idea.
Yeah. Our actors are like, really? No,
Yeah.
I remember that because I remember personally like kind of being on the fence and being like, I don't know, like, can we do this? I don't know. And Scott, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that as well, but I also remember like as a producer, I bring people onto the team that I believe in as creatives. And even though I couldn't fully fathom what your full idea for that was, I knew that I trusted you in your creativity. And so I did want to see what that was. And at the end of the day, I'm really glad that we did end up choosing it. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's a great film. But yeah, it was just, I just wanted to touch on that real quickly because it's, it's a stressful
Yeah.
moment. There's a lot happening. And I think it's a shout out to us as a team is how well we were able to do that under pressure.
I mean, I've sat through a lot of 48 screenings, a lot of like, here's all of the films that are in this particular block. And I guess like something that maybe was making me go, oh, it would be fun to do like this kind of format change, was that I feel like there are a lot of ones that are very typical. And there's nothing wrong with a typical narrative structure, but I guess I feel like, oh, that training video was weird. It was like different. Like it just kind of makes you think about like I feel like it like kind of wakes you up in a way, just because it's like a very like uncommon format to see a short film being used in. So I don't know. I think if we did the mockumentary too, that would have had the potential to do that. But I do think very rarely do you see this sort of style, and I think that makes it stand out in a nice way.
I will just jump in and pile onto that, but like I think mockumentary is somewhat the go-to for people. So like sometimes those are like in 48s all the time. And so I remember watching us, or I think you maybe suggested like there's a Wendy's training video from the 80s, or like Pizza Hut. There's a bunch of these that are
Yeah, I
just
was showing those
really
weird ones I
bizarre. Yeah.
found.
They're so fun. And I think we did a pretty good job capturing those, but definitely like even going to the screening for both the main group that we had for the 48 and then the best of, like there's a big tonal shift when this movie starts because it's so different. And like I feel like it fits and it feels very lived in. But I think the thing that also elevates it is I think, discussed the ending for a while to make sure it wasn't just a training video to like bring more stakes into it and such. And the ending's one of my favorite parts about the entire thing, because I think it like even the shot coming out from the TV into the real world is chef's kiss. Shout out to Michael for doing that, the editor, VFX guy. But just then we could see like there was the veneer of Brian or like the boss throughout the training video, like kind of having a sinister side, and I think it works super well at the end where we actually see the sinister side. And this is jumping a little bit specifically to one of my specific favorite things is that I told Sierra, the girl at the end, to somehow have 2 mouthfuls of milk in her mouth, and she spits out so much milk, and it's so good. Shout out to her.
Yeah, we like to picture that she watched the whole film with like a mouthful of milk, and that was yeah. And I do also I like the ending. The other option that we were going for was there would be two people that were watching the training video trying to figure out what to do because they do have a possession problem like that they were in the middle of, so like hectic screaming kind of stuff like that. But Ambrose, who we mentioned earlier, had thought about the like someone's holding, like someone did something that they weren't supposed to do, and that's how the milk mouth became a thing. And I really like that too. And also I was thinking about something else you added, Scott. I really like, Brian, when you're like pulling away in the background the like body. I think that's just like a nice little touch that I don't know. I guess you would see it probably on first watch, but you know, it's like it's subtle. I like our subtlety. I think it's nice.
Yes. Real quick, 'cause I know we're kind of running out of time here. I just want to hear from our team of what was your favorite thing about filming Idle Hands. If you had a quick memory or a thought or behind the scenes story of something that happened on set, real quick, and then there's one or two questions I think in the chat. Yeah, I just like to hear some from our actors and see what those are real quick. So does anybody have a thought on that? For example, Sierra, speaking of the milk, I was not able to be on set that day, unfortunately. Ugh, breaks my heart. But I always thought she was actually drinking soy milk, but it turns out it was not soy milk. It was oat milk, if I remember correctly. I don't know if you guys can check me on that, but I believe
What a
it's
twist. Movies are all about lying to the audience.
yeah. You can raise your hand if you have a thought. But I know Dorian also had a toothpaste incident. Yes, we'll talk about that. Conrad, did you have one?
Well, just calling back to the process of the 48 and process of acting, I just love being handed a character that just lets me express and live my truth, in which case being exhausted and overworked was really easy place for me to step into emotionally as well as gratifying. So I just want to thank April again for giving me something really fun to work with as always.
I'm glad that your truth was also being like horribly addicted to gambling. So I guess we know that about you now too.
It's a problem.
There are phone numbers on every casino commercial that you can call. So good luck.
Yeah, and Conrad's been with us on a bunch of our 48s. We'll get into that in just a second, but he's been nominated quite a few times. Anna, I believe you won Best Actress, so congrats. And Scott, Best Directing. We had a lot of nominations and awards for this one. If I could find the list in 30 seconds, I would pull it out and read it, but it's going to take me some time. So we're going to have to wait. I'll put it in the description.
Brian also got a nomination. And I think we also got an ensemble nomination, or we won Best Ensemble.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a stacked deck.
Yeah. Well,
I have the list if you want me to read it.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay, I was writing it out while we were at the, I was like, oh my God, there's so many. I won't be able to remember. Okay, we won the audience group, the audience choice for the group we showed in. Nominated Best Production Design, nominated Best Use of Genre, nominated Best Practical Effects. I wrote parentheses, sure, LOL. Won Best Visual Effects, nominated Best Score, nominated Best Acting Ensemble, nominated Best Supporting Actor for Conrad, won Best Actress for Anna, nominated Best Actress for Actor for Brian, nominated Best Editing, runner-up Best Cinematography, won Best Writing, won Best Directing, won Best Film. Yay.
Shout out to the team. No, but seriously, it really does take every person on the team to make a film like this, especially in such a short amount of time. Like for people who are maybe not as well versed in filmmaking, like that is a lot of stuff to accomplish in a weekend. And I think everybody really brought their A game, which is how we are able to be here today. And I know I just asked you all for a favorite idea, but this feels like a good time to transition into because we won first place for this film, it actually qualified us for another competition called Yes We Can, CANNES, like can in France. And the reason it's spelled that way is because if we place in the top 8 for that 48 competition, our film will actually be screened at the Cannes Film Festival. And we actually just completed our film for that like a week or two ago, I want to say. It's called Jamie is Alone, and Conrad plays the lead in that film. And we have just ended the first round of audience voting for that. But if you see us hopefully post some more in the future, keep an eye out on our Instagram for those posts and newsletters. You can sign up for our newsletter online on our Instagram as well. Please send us a vote, because we would love to go to Cannes and we would love to have your support. And if you haven't checked out the trailer yet, it is pretty stellar. I think we again outdid ourselves, and just really excited to share that film with you guys as well once the time is right. And we actually had our screening last night for the cast and crew, and it was a lot of fun, and had some fun posters to sign and all that jazz. But yeah, we really appreciate our community supporting us, and we'll continue to make fun things for you as long as you do so. Cool. Any other memories real quick before we kind of wrap this thing up? Going once, going twice. We did have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think they wanted to give us more awards, but they felt like they had to spread them out. So it didn't look like we were just
April just
taking
like, give us
everything.
all the awards.
I mean, I think like, I don't know. I saw what we were against. I think we were clearly, but that's just me. But yeah. Oh, and I guess like a positive thing for me was like, I felt like it was very easy to write the film. Like it just felt very, I don't know, flowy, because I felt like I knew what was gonna read the best. And yeah, that's always a good feeling when you're a writer.
Yeah, and I think that's something we kind of talk about in the writers' room too, is, when we're deciding, I know in the past I've been like, I want you to, if we're like between maybe two ideas, I'm like, I want you to write the one that you feel most drawn to, because I know the most best things will come out of that. That's not great English, but you know what I mean. And I think that usually does happen. We have some comments in the chat that I think are kind of fun. Scott says Brian should have won. I agree. People said to go to Cannes. What do we have here? We have someone asked also where we filmed the film. I'm gonna let Scott answer that real quick.
So I like site rep at a small studio in Alhambra called Martin Sound. It used to be a music recording studio in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe early 2000s, but it's now like a filming studio. So it was handy that I worked there. So like as April and I were like talking through ideas, I could be like, all right, this can be placed here. And I think we have lots of pictures of the place, so she was able to be like, oh, this could be good there too. So I got there early and like walked through the sets, and I was able to be like, all right, we're gonna film this here, we're gonna film this here, film this here. And so like I could already be getting the production design going in that order, which similar for the film that we just did 2 weeks ago. That was helpful that Conrad works at the place we just shot at, so we could do a similar thing, but that's for another time.
A different live stream. Yeah, I'm seeing, Scott, that you're a fashionista here with your jacket. I'm seeing just a bunch of different things. Conrad playing a degenerate gambler, LOL. Just full chaos all the time. Question for Anna is, what are you doing on the tour? Rory would like to know.
I'm on the How the Grinch Stole Christmas national tour, so we're touring with the musical.
Yay, Christmas. I am so sad that we can't see you perform in that. You need to come to the West Coast so we can all come support.
There is actually a West Coast cast, and they are wonderful. I'm not in it.
We don't care about them.
No, you should. They're awesome.
Yeah. Well, again, congrats. Hopefully one day we'll be able to see you, but if not, we can tolerate the West Coast for now. Yeah, any other last memories or thoughts before we go? I see one last one here. Oh, Heather said, did somebody mention a toothpaste story? I'm gonna let Dorian answer that one real quick.
Yeah, I can share that. So Ambrose also doubled with helping with some of the makeup and special effects. And one of those effects was to make me as gross a demon as possible, which included some open oozing sores made through some really goopy paint and glue, dried glue that we could pull off to look like skin. So that looked wild. But the most interactive thing throughout the entire thing for me was keeping my teeth as like black and rotted as possible. And we did that through charcoal toothpaste, which had great side effects in that, I had even wired teeth after that. So that was amazing. And a very minty mouth for like a week. But it was super fun.
You're welcome for giving you whiter teeth.
And now he just does that every day to keep his hygiene up.
Definitely.
Yeah, I see Aubrey is saying there isn't a trophy big enough. Thank you, Aubrey, for saying that. We appreciate it. I'm also saying Brian for Prez. Someone named Buckles and Bird Productions are saying that Scott should have won an award for putting up with Brian. I think the cast should have won an award for putting up with that boss character. Man, what a thing to deal with, if you ask me. But we made it through together. Yeah, once again, congrats to everybody on the team. We couldn't have done this without you, and we really so much appreciate you being a part of this project with us, and are excited for things to come in the future. Speaking of which, up and coming, we have a little Christmas vertical that we shot way back when that we're going to be sharing for the holidays. So you can keep an eye out for that. Just a quick little short, but a fun themed one at that. And yeah, besides that, we just have a bunch of things going on all the time. So stay tuned in the Vision Ray YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can continue to tune into these with us, and we can continue to dive deep into filmmaking and behind the scenes. And yeah, shout out to our behind the scenes producers, which they all work very hard to bring you all of the content that you see here. Shout out to Spencer, who is one of our lead producers, who has been technical directing this for us, has been working around the clock. Spencer, I don't know if you want to come on camera, if you're able to, but if you want to pop in real quick and say hi to everybody, you're welcome to. And special shout out to Heather, Nikki, and Greg, and Grace, all of our producing team folks that have worked just with us over the years to bring you what you see today. So thank you very much to them, very much appreciated. And yeah, happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you around. We'll be here in December and have some fun, exciting things coming in January. So keep an eye out, and we'll see you later. Thanks so much.
Thank you
Bye,
for joining,
everyone.
everybody.
Yay.
Bye.